have an important message for the Punahou class of 1968.
My name is Gloria Kosasa Gainsley.
And I'm Dale Kamisugi Bordner, and we're half of the gift committee, which also includes Robin Midkiff and Janice Luke Liu.
Each year, the 50th reunion class looks for a class gift that will help and enhance Punahou's core mission. Our classmate, Rocky Higgins, has taken a special interest in the lily pond, and we have helped him as a reunion activity to clean the pond.
Partly from Rocky's lead, our class of 1968 has chosen for its gift to refocus the school's vision on the lily pond. Our spring has been used for irrigation, for drinking, and to fill a swimming tank on campus. We challenge you, our class of 68, to raise $150,000, which will be matched by the school. And this will help us commit to the project, which is so close to the Sydney and Minnie Kosasa neighborhood, which is Punahou's grades 2 to 5.
Class of 68, aloha! Steve Piper and Rocky Higgins here. Oh, and there's Kyle. Kyle came into the picture too.
Nighttime fishing for catfish was probably the most exciting little nighttime expedition here, you know, with getting together with you guys when we'd come down, and I think we had kerosene lamps, and sometimes our dads would come and sometimes they wouldn't, and we'd you know, it was after dark and we'd drop our lines in and those catfish would come out, and you know, we'd avoid Joe Gugadon, the old watchman, you know, and he'd try to chase us home, but we all had backyard ponds, and that was just a favorite moment, you know, in the lily pond.
One of the more unusual things, or interesting ones, was catching green frogs using red felt. And we'd have little bamboo poles with fish line and a little hook on the end of it, and put red felt. For some reason, the green frogs liked red felt.
As a little kid, we would get palm fronds, strip off the individual leaves, and tie the end fiber portion into a loop that we could fish down into the pond when we'd see a crayfish, gradually put it around the crayfish's claw and pull quickly, and it would tighten around the arm and pull it up. I don't have a clue what we were going to do with them once we got them, but we sure like doing that.
The campus has changed a lot since you were last here, but one thing that has remained constant is the water flow at Ka Punahou. The committee has chosen to pick Ka Punahou and the new spring. Over the years, the pond has gone through many transitions with runoff and invasive species and other external elements. The pond suffers in some ways, and we would like to bring new light to the importance of the lily pond and the spring. Over the last many years, Rocky has taken it on as one of his efforts to take care of the pond and see that it maintains its health.
So Kyle, myself, Steve, Chemo Duel, along with the rest of the campus crew, this was, you know, just a total adventure area for us. The chapel that sits behind us, I think we all remember when it was built. I think it was a novelty, you know. I don't know that we were concerned about Mother Nature being derailed, so to speak. I began to walk around the pond and notice that there was rubbish floating in it. The water quality was terrible. I would check with the kids. I asked them what did they think, and they would say, this thing is polluted. And and I figured, we got to do something about this. So I just started a campaign of walking in and picking up debris, and then I started enlisting students and kids, and now we go in with a Hawaiian culture class.
In about 1906, 1907, they decided to enclose the pond, and the water was extremely clean, very, very clear, crystal clear. And over the years, that has changed. But Rocky and I growing up can remember, you know, we could see the bottom, we'd be fishing for crayfish and you could see them come out of the holes. And today there's just so much sediment and mud in the pond that the fish run by, they kick it up, and so the clarity of the pond is not all that great. When the chapel was built, it changed the whole ecology of the pond. There's two sources of runoff from the chapel area that bring contaminants into the pond, and one of them is back here in this corner. The roof on the Mackay side of the chapel, it has no gutter system at all. That's copper. pollutants build up on it all day long. When you get a rain, all that runs into the pond and down the walls, and you can actually see the staining of the copper on the plaster of the building. I mean, it's a great architectural feature, but you know, how is that contributing to the health of the pond? The major source of silt buildup, contamination, and runoff comes off of this side of the roof for the chapel and the gutter system. We're going to show you an example here of what it looks like and how the monkey pod bean and the flowers and stuff build up, and they actually ferment in here. And if not cleaned up properly on a regular basis, it kind of turns into sort of a soup down in there made up of monkey pod debris, the pods, and then you can see the pipe to the right there that actually then runs out to the lily pond, just to the left of the lily pond room of Luke Center, and the runoff from the chapel roof and the courtyard areas empties into that area, and it's pretty dirty water with a lot of silt.
There's actually one more 8-inch in diameter pipe
that's the one with the Luke Center.
Well,
yeah,
there's one on the corner.
Right.
There's one in the middle that currently, if we have heavy rain, is catching water that's coming through the construction site of the Kosasa addition.
And when it rains pretty hard, we've got a pretty good little waterfall running back there. And what a better place, or not better place, but right behind the commemorative stone for the pond. And the idea is to take this particular pipe and get it underground and into the storm drain system so that it no longer enters the pond.
Well, besides our beloved lily pads or and our lilies, off to the corner of the chapel, we've been battling a water hyacinth called Pistia. This is what clogged up Lake Wilson and Wahiawa. Those of you on the mainland, maybe you've got areas in areas like Florida, parts of California, where this will take over a pond or a lake and just choke off the oxygen supply to the fish and create fish kills.
And it's been a constant battle for the last, since 1966 when it was completed, to keep the pond healthy. In 1998, the school embarked on an effort to restore the pond. We dredged it. The depth of the pond at that particular time was about 6 inches, and the original depth was 24 inches with a nice coral bottom to it. And the coral bottom has since gone, and it's been replaced by mud. The class and the committee and Rocky and Kyle and I are all joining in an effort to try and look at these deficiencies and see what we can do as a class to help kickstart a campaign for the future and taking care of this pond. It's not all about the pond. There's the Artesian Well. Originally, the Artesian Well was back in a identified corner of the pond, and you could see the water bubbling up and the crystal clear nature of it and how cold it was. Today, the source is underneath the chapel. I'm asked many, many times, Steve, where is the source of the pond? We cannot show it anymore. We would like to look at the possibilities of bringing the source out from underneath the pond and bringing it to a designated area and defining it with a underwater rock wall structure that would keep the area pristine from fish and vegetation, and it would be crystal clear like it was, and it would become sacred again. But the biggest problem is the fact that we have a lot of sediment and runoff and foreign contaminants that are getting into the pond. I think Rocky was talking to somebody he had here at one time, and he says this is no longer a pond. It's just a big catch basin. And so it's catching everything that runs off around it and becomes this holding area for all these contaminants. There are drainage systems that actually drain dirty, contaminated water into the pond area around the chapel. The roof systems, the gutter systems all go into a central drain and empty into the pond. Great idea back in 1965 and trying to figure out what to do with all this runoff, but it's taken its tolls over the year. So that's one of the other areas that we'd like to look at and help develop and change. We're also looking at the contaminants in the pond itself. That's all the invasive species of animals that are in here now.
For a young fisherman, it's a paradise because we have everything from the mosquito fish that were originally in the pond to a number of different types of cichlids. We have tilapia, we have red devils, we have an arowana, we have pacu. These are native to the Amazon River and South America. So obviously a lot of international travelers, have found their way to Ka Punahou. We have, I believe, about 40 turtles. Some of them are different varieties. Slider turtle, the rednecks. I don't know all, but it's a paradise in that fact. But there's so many of them, so it's really a matter now of culling them down creatively through little fishing programs for the kids. And doing something to reduce the fish and turtle population.
As we try to educate the Punahou community as well as the external community. As part of the new Kosasa neighborhood, they're going to be using waters from Ka Punahou to help feed lo'i and grow taro up in the 3rd grade area.
And we even have largemouth bass. But my job, I sort of self-appointed myself as guardian of the lily pond, and was endorsed by Randy Overton, and just said, hey, if whatever you want to do within reason. So as I mentioned, I do take student groups in, particularly the Hawaiian culture groups, and they come in and we cut back the invasive species that are off the remaining portion of what's not really a wall, but rather stacked boulders that were done rather hastily. But hopefully with this new development, we're able to create a face of rock, because obviously you can do great things with lava rock and have a creative return of water flow into the pond. Well, there's 2 exits. We have one just off the island over there, and there's a cage screen over it. That's the actual newer exit. And the water travels down underground, and it enters into some holding tanks that were designed originally to pump water out and irrigate the plant life and the grass fields down on the lower part of the campus. But from my understanding, the combination of tilapia breeding within it plugged up the system, and as a result, all the water passes through, but it continues on its merry way down, probably down to the Alawai. The original drain is around the corner, and it's opposite the commemorative stone, or just very close to the commemorative stone that honors the gift of Ka Punahou from the ali'i.
So anyway, this is one of the outlets for the pond, and it's the original one that was here when the pond was established. And it's the old style irrigation deal where there's boards that you can take in and out and change the level and make the pond higher or lower. And the original grading and everything is still here. In fact, my brother Tom has his name, class of 1954, and when they redid this drain in 1952, he etched his name in it. And one of the things is we like to employ a hydrologist to come in and actually check the health of the stream and see how it's doing. It's very possible that during the construction of the chapel it might have been fractured and it's not giving forth as much water as it normally would. And also by doing that, can we drill into the fissure sideways and bring it out into the open where we can all see it, enjoy it, and celebrate it as it was in days of old. We're asking for your kokua. Please join in with us in this effort and help preserve the life stream of the school. Mahalo.
We would like to take the lead in bringing the spring and the pond into its central and true focus as a symbol of Ka Punahou.
We now see how the pond has so much potential, and we would like, as a class of 68, to help Punahou realize this potential. I think we should give as a class to honor the sacrifices that our parents did to give us a good education at Punahou School.
I think it's important for us to give back to this project to restore Ka Punahou, which is really the pico of our school.
Doesn't matter how much you give, it's still a contribution, and anything is appreciated.
Whether you're going to be able to join us for our 50th reunion, we hope that we can get as many classmates out as possible. But if you got deep pockets, that's great. If you got shallow pockets, hey, doesn't matter how much. Just a little kokua to help our lily pond. As Rap Replinger would have said, Hey gang, brother, just you get $3.80. That's good enough. That's good enough. Anything can help the cause, brother. Aloha.
We can't wait to visit with all of you at our reunion in June. Aloha and mahalo.